Hey guys, well, figured I'd make a little dinner while I talk to you about why live in a van. So, over here, I have some asparagus. Since I'm still in the building stage in my van, I don't have a counter yet. So I'm going to use a cereal box to cut it on. Actually, I do have a cutting board. Why don't I just use that? There you go. One awesome inch. Good thinking. Get in there, you. There we go. Give this a little wipe. La la la. Flip it over. Guess I don't need to wipe both sides, do I? I'm just going to cut my ends off here. So, why live in a van? Well, for me, the situation is a little different. As some of you already know, where's my garbage? Over there. I got divorced last summer and moved out July 3rd. How small should I cut these? And where should I put them? How about in this pan I'm going to cook it in? I'm going to put this stuff. Everything's a mess. It's hard to cook in here when there's no counter. So last July moved out, and the short of it is I have to pay quite a bit of money in child support every month, $800, and that's about 39% of my income, and that's quite a bit. Now, there are other reasons too. Oi, asparagus down. He's gone forever. Do I want to dig it out and eat that? I don't know. I think I'll just throw it in the garbage a little bit later. So yeah, paying child support is one of the major reasons. Um, and I'm going to be honest here. Sometimes I really think about what the heck am I doing living in a van, and ultimately you second guess yourself, of course, and when I do that, um, ultimately realize I don't really have a choice, because, well, I do have a choice, but my other choices are not very pleasing, such as living with roommates, which I did before I met my ex-wife. So from the ages, I moved out when I was 19 out of my dad's house, and I met my ex-wife when I was 24. So between those ages, 19 to 24, for 5 years, I always, almost, well, not always, but majority of that period of time, I lived with roommates. And people eating your food, people grumpy, loud music, people's friends smoking in my place. It's gross. Um, it's just roommates. It's not good. And I'm 44 years old. I don't want to have to live with roommates again. I think for a younger man, it's okay. It's a good experience. I learned a lot, but I don't want to do it again. My other option, of course, is getting um, more hours at work or getting a second job. Well, I can't get more hours at work because of the way my job is. Now, could I get a second job? Yes. Do I want to get a second job? No. So I'm trying the van life as an option to try instead of doing that. And I don't really have an option but to choose one of those three, and that's why the van life is what I'm doing. That's one of the major reasons. Now, often I think, yeah, but van life isn't that bad. It's really not that bad at all. And when I think about it, when I second guess living in a van, I always come down to the conclusion was, well, what are you doing? The problem is for me is I'm building my van, and I'm building it while I'm working, And I don't want to come home from work and then have to build a van every day. It's exhausting. And my job is fairly stressful. And I'm not going to tell you what that job is. I'm going to keep that part of my life private. So, it's a stressful job. I come home, the last thing I want to do is work on the van. I mean, sometimes I have energy and I will do it. So what that means is, because I'm focused on working on the van, I'm not allowing myself too much other time to do fun things. Like, for example, I'm a bass player, play rock music, but right now I'm not in a band because I'm trying to focus on the van. Or I could get involved with a Buddhist group and do that once evening a week. And these are the things I plan to do once the van is all finished. But so whenever I'm kind of down about living in a van, it's usually because I'm doing nothing but working and working on the van, working for my employer and working on the van. And it gets you need to have some downtime, otherwise you go a little bit crazy. So what I'm also going to have mixed with my asparagus is some peaches and cream corn. Let's see, where's my can opener? Where are you, Mr. Can Opener? Everything's unorganized. In here somewhere, I hope. There it is. No counter space, really sucks. So this is part of what I'm having tonight. Meat-free turkey cutlet, lightly breaded, with gravy. That's what it looks like cooked. I already ate one of them. It's pretty good. So that kind of covers that section of my reasons for living in a van. There's other aspects as well. A lot of people, it's about traveling and being nomadic. I'm not nomadic. I like to travel and I like to see different places, for sure, absolutely. But I don't really like to drive that much. I mean, 3 hours of driving, that's enough for me in one day. I'm not really big into long distance drives. So I think a lot of the guys who do it on YouTube, and well, not even on YouTube, but just in general, they drive a lot more than 3 hours a day. Open can. And so yeah, I'm not really the nomadic kind of guy. I can't do it anyway because I've got kids and I don't want to be away from them. When they're older, I'm hoping to be able to take them on trips with me, but that's gonna have to wait for now. What is another reason? Oh yes, simplicity. I do like minimalism and simplicity, and if I was living in an apartment, I would just be in a studio apartment with virtually nothing. In fact, one of the times for about 6 months when I lived out my own before I met my ex-wife, I did do exactly that. I lived in a studio apartment and I had very little. Basically everything I owned fit in the back of a little Datsun import car. And I was fine with that. There's no problem whatsoever. So yeah, simplicity. I like things simple. So that's a major reason to live in a van. I don't want to buy a place and then have that own me and fill it with stuff and blah blah blah. That's not really my style. But often, I do second guess living in a van. There is that whole cultural stigma. I guess I've just been brainwashed, like everybody else, about, oh, you gotta have a house. You gotta have four walls and a roof over your head. Where did my spatula go? Where did I put that stupid thing? I used it earlier. Oh, there it is. My cereal box. So, those are my primary reasons. Save money, and the thing is that longer you live in a van, it's almost like once you kind of get over the initial, the first 3 or 4 months were the hardest for me. Just trying to acclimatize, you might say, to the whole idea, and getting used to hearing traffic all the time outside your thin walls, and you know, using being in public a lot. Like you're in public. I find I'm in public way more than I used to be when I was living in an apartment. So there's my asparagus and corn cooking. Uh, I just used a frying pan I used to cook my other part of the dinner with, and as a result, there's some leftover stuff there. But no big deal. I'll clean that up. It's just I just ate these veggie patty things, so I don't mind if it get mixed in a bit. No big deal. And I'm parked on the side of the road, nice quiet street. And I got a park on the other side and some bushes over here, so it's kind of like a perfect spot to have my ventilation and some privacy, semi-privacy. Yeah, and living in a van, it's hard once you. I mean, I've saved thousands of dollars in rent, so it's going to be really hard once you've saved so much money to go back and start paying that money again. I don't know if I'll ever to do it. Some people ask me, like on the YouTube comment section or whatever, are you going to do this forever? Like, what's your long term plan? Well, I know I'm never going to be able to buy a condo again. I just don't see that happening. And frankly, with all the strata fees and the outrageous cost of housing in Vancouver where I live, it's not really an attractive option to me. So then then I'll just be paying rent. And I just wonder why it's not really necessary. Living in a van is not easy. It's not as, you're not as pampered, that's for sure. I mean, you got to deal with dumping urine and, boiling water for hot water and bringing your water in. But once you have heat is the biggest thing. If you got heat, everything else is doable. Okay, I'm calling that cooked because all the corn water is gone. And hope that asparagus is going to be tender. I think it should be okay. So, ultimately, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to live in an apartment again. I mean, I think one option I might do in the future, like when I get old, is I could buy like a very small tent trailer, not a tent trailer, camper trailer, one of those pull behind, really short one, small one, and just park it in an RV park and pay the $500 or $600 a month. But even that's a lot of money, and those are the cheap ones around here. But I don't know. So the three main reasons most people say why they live in a van is number one, to save money. And I agree, you do save a lot of money. Some people say you don't save that much money because they eat out a lot or they spend money pampering themselves in other ways, which they might not do living in an apartment. But for me, I'm saving a lot of money. But that money goes to child support, so I'm really not saving much. $800 a month goes to child support, and I figure I'm saving probably around 1,000. I'm gonna have to do a budget video one of these days. So saving money, number one. Number two, a lot of people talk about the nomadic lifestyle and traveling around. For me, that doesn't really factor in because I'm not really the nomadic kind of guy. I do like to travel, but I don't like to drive. I mean, 3 hours of driving is enough for me in a day. Uh, Third reason most people would agree with live in a van is because it's a simple lifestyle, and you work less, you own less, and you enjoy life more. And it's kind of like minimalism and simplicity are very attractive. The other day, I took the shell off my racing snail thinking it would make him faster. If anything, it made him more sluggish.